Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness which creates and animates all things. After years of exploring this awe-inspiring truth on this podcast, I'm super excited to announce that we are now going even deeper down the rabbit hole on the new late-night style consciousness-elevating talk show called Optimistic, which features none other than you, the listeners. Optimistic is taped out of the epic, spaceship-esque 8-bedroom property we call the Mystic Manor that myself and the rest of the Optimistic crew now navigate reality from in Venice Beach, California. And you are invited to come experience a Mystic Manor immersion week with us. During your week-long stay, you'll enjoy unique workshops, chef-prepared meals, one-on-one time coaching and consulting with me, and even co-creating magic with me as a guest on both Optimistic and an episode of the Positive Head podcast. When I started this, my aim with these immersive retreats was to facilitate the ultimate spiritual upgrade and tune-up, so to speak, for our guests while providing them with one of the most memorable experiences of their lives. And I'm happy to say that as of this recording, every guest at the end of their trip so far has told me that they have had a profound and transformational experience at the Mystic Manor and that they definitely want to come back. All that being said, we only have a limited number of spots available between now and next July. And as of this recording, about half of those spots are already filled. So if there's any part of you that is screaming, yes, I want to come, I feel like I need to be there, go now and book a slot with me to discuss how we can put our heads together and make it happen at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. I know for some people there is also that little voice in their head saying, why not? I can't get off work. I can't afford it, and on and on and on. But, really Henry Ford, I think, said it best. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I'm confident that where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm personally committed to doing everything in my power, including discounts and payment plans, to get you here if it is something that truly feels like a huge yes for you energetically and like you're meant to be here. Once again, the link to book time to discuss with me is calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. That's spelled CALENDLY.com/talkwithbrandon. All one word, of course. And book in some time and look forward to seeing you soon here at the Mystic Manor.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining Samantha and I today. And as usual, we turn on our microphones and we decide what we're going to talk about today, right, Samantha?
It feels like the universe kind of just tells us, it's like, oh, you're experiencing this. Oh, yeah, me too. Okay, let's go into that.
Yeah, Samantha and I have so much in common. And so it's really easy. We don't plan anything. We just let it flow.
Oh my gosh. If you were watching this video right now, any of you listeners, we're just giggling and winking at each other. Erica flowing in with the puns. So we're just going to give you a little, we're going to preface this conversation by just sharing that it's a topic that maybe is a little uncomfortable for people to hear about. It maybe, especially if you're of the male gender. And we're going to talk about this because it's a really important topic to talk about. Whether you are a woman or know a woman, it's just great to be aware of some of the things that happen. And both of us are in the naturopathic realm, and so we're going to go into a little bit of the intricacies of some womanly stuff.
So it's flow time for both Samantha and I are around this. We have around the same flow time, our monthly moon. And, for me, I definitely get a little hormonal around this time.
Mm.
And it's an interesting thing to pay attention to and to really check my own reactions in this time.
Mm.
Because hormones are serious. They're not an excuse, right? They're not an excuse for bad behavior, but they are definitely very effective to the way you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I recently, not just with this type of female hormonal monthly situation, but I had an experience with postpartum depression, which that was very, very serious what the hormones can do with your thoughts and emotions. So, but at the end of the day, for me, while that is happening physically, it is always something that I come back to and I handle mentally and emotionally.
Mm.
And that's always how I take care of it.
Mm. Yeah, for anyone who's listening and not exactly sure what we're talking about women's menstruation, women's periods, aka moon cycle in the spiritual realm. That is what we call it. And yeah, there's so much shame around PMS. There's so much shame around women's cycles. In the collective and society, we've just been conditioned to think it's gross, to think it's icky, to think that women are bitches or that they're crazy, or and there's a lot of shame around that. And it's just so much miseducation and also patriarchal values and misogyny patterns coming through. But really, it's so important to realize that this is one of the most sacred times in the month for a woman. It's when we're the most psychic, the most sensitive, the most connected to our bodies. It is a time to really rest and reset, which all of us need. And and when we reclaim that, when we normalize that and we see it as sacred, there's so much healing that happens. Because yes, our hormones do affect the ways that we think, the ways that we feel, the ways that we act, due to the ways that we think and feel. And if left undealt with, unresolved in these mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of the cycle, well, then, yeah, of course, people are going to be acting crazy, because that's actually an indicator that there's a deep underlying root issue, whether it be emotional, mental, spiritual, or physical, that gets to be resolved, that gets to be taken care of.
Such great points. Especially, I love the one about rest, because most women aren't taking the time out for themselves, especially day one. It is a day where you feel depleted. And of course you do, because you have this intense amount of blood loss, right? And so we do need to take the time and rest on these days. And I think, and I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but I'm pretty sure that the Chopra Institute gives women off on these days so they can stay home and rest. And I
Mm.
think all businesses should. They would have a very much more well oiled machine if everyone working there was happy and healthy all the time. And that's one way to do it.
Yeah, back in the more traditional times, there was something called the red tent, where in communities and tribes, and where women weren't pumped full of birth control, they would all gather, because they would all sync up together and
Mm.
have their moons normally around the same time, and they'd get together in this red tent and they'd be taken care of. Their
Hmm.
food would be made for them. They'd have foot rubs. Their families would come and visit them as they're celebrating and rejuvenating together. And that has just been so beaten out of our society and of our culture.
Mm. It certainly has all of these ancient traditions. I love the ancient ways, the old, oh, what's a better word for witches? I don't like that word at all, but ancient medicine women. This is how they rolled. They all stayed together and they supported each other. And we've come very far away from that now in these patriarchal times, like you like to talk about. Yeah, it's
Mm.
it's certainly something we need to get back to and be supporting each other through and understanding what is happening from for everyone to understand what's happening to women during this time and not just push it away as, oh, they're being crazy, they're being a bitch, they're hormonal. Oh, is it your cycle time? Or are you going through menopause? That's another one that women get. Like, oh, are you having a hot flash? Like men and women alike like to make jokes and do unkind things around this topic. So I think that we need to
Mm.
be a lot more sensitive as well.
Yeah, it's really important for us to have compassion, around what people are experiencing. And if anyone listening, if you're somebody who goes through really gnarly cycles and really challenging times and a lot of pain and mood swings, it's such a beautiful opportunity for you to get curious as to, okay, well, why is this? Because that's not normal. Like, yes, it's common, but it's not actually normal. And it's showing you that there's something out of balance. There's maybe inflammation in the body, or there's emotional trauma, or ancestral wounding, or just spiritual constriction. And it's there as an opportunity. And a little story, this is something I share pretty publicly. When I was, how old was I? I was about 19 or 20 when I lost, no, I was 21 when I lost my menstrual cycle. So I stopped getting my period for 7 years. And it was really crazy. I went to every single doctor. I got all of the tests, and doctors really didn't have any answers. They just said, "Oh, well, here we'll put you on birth control, or it's your thyroid, so take Synthroid, which is an artificial, drug for the thyroid, which is not healthy. In my opinion, what isn't healthy for a 21-year-old to start taking." And so for 7 years, I didn't have my menstrual cycle, and I didn't know if I would ever get it back. And for me, I went through this massive awakening in my feminine, and this healing and coming together with community with other women and reclaiming my right to exist and to be a woman, and to changing the narrative I had about being a woman. My dad hated women, and made that very clear when I was a little girl. And once he told me, "Samantha, don't ever become a woman, because women, they just ruin men's lives." And I remember thinking, well, I don't want to ever be a woman. I don't want to ever hurt people like my daddy, and that was so deeply wired that to be a woman was bad, that my body actually was listening, and it really stopped being a woman for a very long time. And it was such an emotional healing process that happened, of me forgiving my past and forgiving my dad and forgiving my mom and claiming my body. And then when I did that, deciding I wanted to be a woman again, I got my menstrual cycle the next day when I declared.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been
Yes.
such a crazy journey with that.
That is so beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing that very powerful story, because that is such a great example of the power of the mind and the things that we will tell ourselves in these high emotional times that then set in this contract within our physical body. And it listens because our mind is in charge. So you told it, body, you're not going to go through that process. And so it didn't. But the minute you got what you did and healed that and let it go, there it was. Because again, the body listens. I love this. It's such a great example of why I do the work I do now. Many of you all know I've been a naturopathic physician for the last 15 years now, studying this medicine for 20. And now all I do is hypnosis. I mean, I'll do some counseling for naturopathic medicine here and there, and use my license otherwise. But my main thing is hypnosis, because this is where the healing is. When we get what is going on inside within our mind and emotions, the healing happens in a light bulb moment. It is instantaneous because you get it, you understand.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't get symptoms anymore. I don't get cramps
Mm-hmm.
anymore. I don't get moody anymore. I don't cry my face off like I used to for days and days and break up with my boyfriend every single month. Like that, that was definitely a big reality for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
also could have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. My doctors definitely thought I was bipolar. My mood swings would be
Mm-hmm.
insane. They'd be the highest highs, the lowest lows, all over the place, all of the time. And when I did my Dutch hormone panel, I saw that my hormones were all over the place. They were way too high, way too low, like super unhealthy in terms of the normal ranges. And and when I balanced out my hormones and got my physical, mental, emotional body in check, like I do not have those mood swings. I do not have any kind of symptoms of being bipolar. And so it's pretty wild what happens when you do the holistic healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you've done that mental and emotional healing, your body doesn't need the signs and symptoms anymore because you've gotten the message. That's the only reason why those signs and symptoms are there. They're trying to give you a message, like screaming at you, pay attention to me, please. Now there's pain in your body. Now you have to pay
Yeah.
attention, right? That's when we finally say, okay, what's going on here? But it doesn't have to get to that
Mm.
point. we can realize that before it comes into the body. Every time we have an experience, we can look at that experience and see, what am I learning? Where am I seeing the balance? And how much love is in this moment? And is that my focus? Like, if we can always stay there, right? We don't get out of
Mm.
balance. We can always find the balance in every situation. Yeah. And we don't need to get sick.
That's the thing. The body speaks to us in different iterations. So at first, it's a gentle, gentle nudge. It's just a little whisper, just a little teeny whisper. And
Yep.
then it starts to speak. You start to hear things, and then it starts to scream. When your body starts to scream,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's just the bells and the whistles and the horns and the sirens. And that's where chronic disease and illness comes in. But just notice that your body is always speaking to you. And if you have this chronic pain in your neck, or if you have this, recurring lower backache or sciatica pain, or your knees are always giving out, or your ankle, there's something going on. And the language of the body is something really to get to know, to be familiar with, to understand the metaphysical connection. Louise Hay does amazing work, or she did amazing work with this, is heal your body, heal your life. And it just shows, it shows the connection between different body parts and different emotional, mental states of being. It's just really, really empowering when you can start to tune into your body and not just be cerebral and in your head about it, but really connect to what your body is feeling, therefore what it's telling you.
Absolutely. That book is a really great reference. It's been out for a really long time. It was one of the first books I ever picked up. It's actually the first place I learned that we choose our
Same.
parents. She talked about that in that
Yeah.
book. No way, cool. Another book that I really like concerning this topic is Julia Cannon's book, Soul Speak. It also goes into each of the body parts and talks about them in a little bit more detail too. So, and her book comes from her mother's work, Dolores Cannon, who created QHHT, which is the technique I'm always talking about and I love so, so much. So yeah,
I
that's
love it.
another
There's so
great
many
book.
connections, right? You can take the metaphysical, you can take even Western medicine, you can take the chakra system, like connecting. Okay, so where does our menstrual cycle happen? Well, it's in the sacral area, right? It's very connected to your sacral,
Mm-hmm.
connected to your root. Do you feel safe? Do you feel like you're able to express yourself? Do you have trauma in that area? Did your mom have trauma in that area? It's so powerful when you can start to look at all of these different frameworks and put them together to create that multimodality holistic approach to see, okay, well, where am I out of balance? What's not working for me? And what are the tools that I can use to start really addressing this issue from the inside out?
I love that, Samantha. You always bring up such great points. So, what I love about the sacral chakra, when I view it in my mind, what I see is a
Mm.
river flowing, and gradually, you know how in the creek it just goes, the river just flows around all the rocks. There is no hesitation, it just gently flows. And so, that's a really great analogy for our menstrual cycle flowing, and also for our creativity and growth. um, those are big things in that area. So other things to look at as well. If you out there listening are having menstrual experiences, because I don't like to call them problems. It's always an
Yeah,
experience. It's
opportunities.
different when we look at it that way.
Yeah,
Opportunities and
menstrual
experiences.
opportunities
Yeah.
to heal. Yeah, yeah. Another thing that really
Yep.
contributed was stress. Like stress is huge, and
Oh
when
yeah.
your body,
It's
especially a woman,
everything.
is under
Yeah.
well, because men can't, but under an immense amount of stress, everything in your body is going to support you in this stressful time. Like imagine if you're running away from a saber-toothed tiger, your body does not have the energy to allow you to be fertile to create a child, right? So you'll stop getting your cycle. Now, same in modern times when you're chronically stressed, so chronically in fight or flight, chronically running around like a chicken with its head cut off, your body is going to feel that and sense that and be like, "Nope, you are not fit to bear children." And some people listening be like, "Well, that's
Absolutely.
great. I don't want to get my period." Yeah, you actually do. You actually do,
Mm-hmm.
because it is one of the most cleansing, rebalancing, healing, and powerful times in your month. And when you really reclaim that and align with that and attune yourself to that and welcome it and rewrite your relationship to yourself through your cycle, wow, everything changes.
Absolutely. And I think it's really dangerous to be taking pills that are
Oh my
stopping your
gosh, yeah.
cycle. It is extremely dangerous. You are completely screwing with your balance on so many levels. And so just let your body do its thing. We have to understand that it is innately capable of healing itself, taking care of itself. And its job is to maintain balance. And we start throwing all of this stuff in there, thinking that we know what we're doing, but we don't. And we're causing a lot of harm.
I hated being on birth control. I was on birth control
Me
because my
too.
mom made me, or my doctor made me when I became sexually active, which, okay, I get. And nobody told me the negative repercussions. Nobody told me anything. They just said, take these pills. I started to take them. I was on a less.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was a crazy, raging BITCH all the time, waking up crying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a happy person. I've always been a happy person. And this made me feel absolutely insane. So I switched to tricycline low, made me have the worst cramps, the worst pains. Then I switched to the NuvaRing and I felt awful. Like, they were all awful. And when I started to do my research into them, well, it turns out that our hormones have cycles throughout the month. It's not just like all of our hormones are completely stable for 3 weeks, get our menstrual cycle, then stable again. No. They rise and they fall,
Right.
and there are ebbs and flows of this cycle, and all of our different hormones, they change throughout the month.
Mm-hmm.
But the pill that they give you is the same pill every single day, and it doesn't change throughout the month. And so I thought, well, okay, so I'm already eating artificial hormones and things that are messing with my thyroid and messing with my estrogen levels and my progesterone levels and in my organs, and are going through and toxifying my liver and kidneys. Okay. And wow, it's actually preventing me from my body from knowing what even a natural cycle is, and then from creating its own hormones. So I'm repressing and oppressing my organs from functioning properly. It was so
Yep.
scary. And then I started to see all of the people that die from being on this and that are like get messed up completely. And I just thought, wow, I am never going to take birth control again. And I'm going to speak out about this because this is disgusting. I can't even believe how many women get like really forced by their doctors or their parents to go on the pill.
And I would say 80% of those women
Yeah.
have problems. The ones that I've seen in my practice, for the most part, everybody has issues with birth control pills. And for exactly the reasons why you just explained. It's going against nature. General rule, let's stick with what nature wants. It's just that simple, basic rule. And we'll all find ourselves a lot happier
Yeah.
and healthier if we just go along with
Yeah.
Mother Gaia.
Another thing
She
that's
knows.
really, I'm just going to rip on this one. So the fish population, segue here, the fish population right now, there are so many. Where we're seeing is that the fish population are actually morphing, where male fish are morphing into female fish because of all of the birth
Dear.
control that's getting peed out, right? Every time we pee it out. We pee it out into the water streams.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually changing, morphing the male population of fish into female fish. What is that doing to humans that drink the same water? Because when you test your water, no matter where you're from, there are traces of synthetic hormones. So what is that doing to our men? What is that doing to our women? Cancer is directly linked to having too much estrogen in the body. Cancer rates are through the roof. There are connections here.
Everything is connected, and that is such a huge point. I feel like oftentimes we feel like we're in our own little bubble and what we do doesn't affect anybody but us. But it does. But it does when you look at it this way, that you have excretion products. Those products are going back into the earth and they're going to take a long time to break down, and it's affecting the other creatures. So you're not only affecting yourself, but the rest of the planet. And that is definitely something that we should
I'm
reconsider.
going to go one step deeper into the conspiracy theory of it. For those of you who are just getting to know me on the Positive Head podcast, I'm a controversial person, apparently. but really, okay, so I went deep into this topic. Now, the conspiracy aspect of it is that, so women are very highly intuitive. We're very empathic. And birth control actually really inhibits our abilities in the psychic realm, in the empathetic realm. It numbs us in a certain way, and to disconnect us from our knowingness, to disempower us so that we are weak, and that we are not tapped in to the truth of who we really are. And it's to keep us dumb. It's to keep us dumb and naive and stuck and oppressed. And the more and more research that you do about this, like, you can find some really crazy things in this topic.
There's so many things surrounding this topic that will make you angry, blow your mind, all the things. I mean, I just heard this over the weekend. So when you're pregnant now, there's this blood test that you can do to see if there's anything wrong with the baby. Okay. Well, they're coming back with so many false positives on this test, meaning false positives for Down
Oh my
syndrome,
God.
false positives for other things. Mm-hmm. So imagine the amount of women who are having this test and making decisions based off of it. That makes me furious and also takes my mind down the same road that you just went down. So in terms of, for me, it's more of a population control, same thing with birth control, keep this population at a minimum. Yeah, it's an ugly narrative, but yeah, there's some things that we need to take a harder look at, for sure.
Yeah. So, wow, goosebumps. Okay. So one of my things is that when I talk about a problem and really beat it in, I like to give a solution as well. So what do? I don't want to get pregnant, right? I do have a partner. And so couple things. Being educated and being responsible, I feel, is really important. So one of the things that I do is I track my cycle on an app called Flow. There are many apps online that you can use, and it's just a really great way that every month you're tracking exactly when your cycle starts and exactly when it ends. You also there's more data that you can input there, and it gives you a very it's a really great estimation. Maybe it's a day or two off, but I've been using it for 3 years now, since I've received my cycle again. And it's always almost to the exact day. And it shows you when you have a very low chance of getting pregnant, when you have no chance of getting pregnant, when you have a very high chance of getting pregnant, or medium chance. And so you can start to be aware of this. And I do recommend using contraceptives. I do recommend being smart about that. And if you're worried, maybe abstaining from having sex for the few days when you're extremely highly fertile, and beforehand, because sperm does live in the body for a few days. So
5, by the way, 5. I got pregnant off 5-day-old sperm. So be careful.
Okay, yeah.
Just
so
saying.
5.
It's serious.
Yeah. So just being aware,
Yeah.
tracking your cycle, using contraceptives, having a conversation with your partner. I know a lot of women don't want to use condoms because their boyfriend doesn't like it, and so they go on the pill instead. Ladies, your body is more important than your partner's preference, in my opinion. And men, just, if you're still listening to this, hey, I just want to salute you. I'm impressed and very proud of you, because you're educating yourself. And so, this is a serious thing, and you get to be on board and really be supportive of your partner if you choose so. It's a really beautiful gift that you can give both of yourselves, really.
I love those apps. I think they're a really great tool. And also, I want to make the point, a lot of women don't understand their cycle and don't know when it is that you can get pregnant. So that app makes it really, really simple. That, like, what is day one? Day one is the first day you bleed, ladies. And then about 14 days later is when you ovulate. And that's different for everyone. And this app will help you figure that out. Or there's many apps that do it. But that's one of the things I love about it. And this type of method is a really great way to not get pregnant, because I used that for many years myself, and didn't use anything else but that, and did not get pregnant. So you can do really well with just paying attention to your cycles. And speaking of getting pregnant, there's 2 things I want to give everyone a piece of advice on. What you said earlier, Samantha, with stress. If you're trying to get pregnant and you're stressed, it's not going to happen. The body won't do it to itself. It needs to have this environment that is able to basically do two functions at the same time. It's holding two humans at once. So body can't be stressed. So if you want to get pregnant, then start a meditative practice, start doing a lot of self-care, start bringing down that stress level in your life. The second thing is that what I really love, if you're really trying to boost up your fertility, in the last 2 weeks of your cycle, so 14 days post, you can start taking an evening primrose oil. And what that is going to do is to beef up your progesterone, which is what we need in order to get pregnant. So if that's what you're trying to do, then that's a really good healthy tip.
So yeah, speaking about cycles, this is not a tip for getting pregnant, but just about balancing out your hormones. Evening primrose is amazing. Vitex is amazing. I also love using essential oils like clary calm or clary sage. And then if anyone has not heard of seed cycling is a really wonderful way to use nutrition to help with your hormones. And so from the new moon to the full moon, what you want to do, this is like the follicular phase of your cycle, and you can combine freshly ground flax seeds and pumpkin seeds daily, maybe a tablespoon of each, and you can consume that every day. And then between day 14 and then your next cycle of the moon, so the full moon to the new moon, you can do sesame seeds and sunflower seeds, and those help with balancing out your hormones. So it's just a little nutrition hack.
I totally love that, because what those are going to do is be more estrogenic or more progesterogenic, depending on where you are in your cycle. And that is so beautiful to use food as medicine.
Yeah,
Thank you for
pleasure.
That, Samantha.
My pleasure. Well, this has been a fun a fun episode. It's a little different than what what people talk about on the Positive Head podcast. I just also think it's really important because it's all about positive head. And when your hormones are a disaster and you're all over the place, you can't think positively. You can't feel positively because you're going through something where your body and your hormones are preventing you, right? So this, I'm glad that we went here.
Yes, it's good to get a better understanding, and it's good to talk about all of this for everyone. Yes.
But before that, I want to know, when am I going to see you again? Tell me again. Tell us again. When are you in LA? When are we hanging out?
Exactly, Samantha. Thank you. You guys, the Conscious Life Expo is coming up beginning of February 7th, 8th, and 9th, and post conferences on the 10th. Amazing speakers this year. Please try and come and check it out. Samantha and I will be there. Brandon will be there too, floating around, I'm sure. Russell Brand, Greg Braden, James Redfield, Julia Cannon, Daniel Pinchbeck, Susan Miller, Kimberly Meredith, tons of great speakers. So definitely check the website out, consciouslifeexpo.com. Thank you, Samantha. So now we're going to leave you with a song for today, everyone.
This is Ayla Nerio, Rain. Until next time, everyone. Love you all.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
Giving life for an instant, I tasted your tears. Oh, gods of the sky, wash away all dust and all of these fears. Oh, rain, rain, rain. Giving life for an instant, I tasted your tears. Oh, gods of the the sky. Wash away your dust and all of these fears. Oh, song on the wind. I can taste you as you roll across these plains. All see, all within. So gather waters, let me feel this pain melted into rain. Wash away your dust and all of these fears. Oh, song on the wind. I can taste you as you roll across these plains. All seen, all within. So gather waters, let me feel this pain melted into grandfather, grandmother, daughter, lover, sister, brother, mother, child. Let your tears fall to the mountain valleys of your grandfather, grandmother, daughter, lover, sister, brother, mother, child. Let your tears fall to the calling canyons of your grandfather, grandmother, daughter, lover, sister, brother, mother, child. Let your tears fall to the desert longing of your grandfather, grandmother, daughter, lover, sister, brother, mother, child. Let your tears fall to the mountain valleys.